Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Ark Raiders. Today is the release of Stella Montis, our 5th map, which right now doesn't feature any modifiers. Like not even a night raid, let alone any of the special events. But I'm sure that will change in the future. For the moment, it works as a fantastic indoor only map. Extremely good for augment materials. Your blue and purple weapon upgrade materials, whether that's wires and electric components for the advanced craft, or steel springs and mechanical components for that advanced one. Loads of mod mats either way. Blue shield crafting potential, there's batteries in hilarious amounts. Plenty of raw value, whether it's just sellable money items or purples from the Exodus places. It is an incredible loot spot, and there are lots of locations that I want to talk about and advise you on. There are so many ways you could do a loadout for this map, but there is one key component you need to think about. The fact that it is a very close range map. Yes, there are some long angles, but the mass majority of the places you're going to be fighting in are going to be surprisingly close. So your shotguns like a Toro or Vulcano, your submachine guns, bobcat, stichers, obviously the meta gun of venator, but even up close when you're mag dumping a torrent, that will work really well too. I strongly recommend utility in the form of barricade kits. This can close up corridors, doorways, and protect your sides. In fact, there's plenty of locations where you're going to be looting and there's doors you're not able to close. Giving yourself this cover in the middle of a fight or preventing some sort of ambush can be massive. In terms of grenades and offensive use, one of the most impactful things you could run is a showstopper or, in prep, a jolt mine. Because you're forced into tight corridors and rooms, it's very hard for them to avoid these mines, so you may have noticed a lot of players using them. Check out how I'm looting this room with lots of breaches. The loot here is amazing, but while I'm doing that, I'm making a lot of sound and I'm quite vulnerable. So if I just pop down a jolt mine on either entrance, when the inevitable rat comes along and tries to ambush me, sure enough he gets shocked and gets punished. So, showstoppers, barricade kits, jolt mines, incredible on this map in particular. That is my advice for this map. On this map, you're going to find large arc like bastions in one specific location, a few areas where you'll find flying arc, but the majority of the arc you'll find are small arc like ticks, pops, and the burners. But of course, you're going to find the new arc, the shredders. These things kind of work like a shrapnel grenade. They're slow moving guards. When they spot you, they'll move towards you and then explode in a massive AoE of shrapnel. This is immense DPS, and your goal is to break line of sight with it as soon as possible. This stops the damage. It will shred through shields as well, so do not let these things get near you. To defeat them, you need to be shooting the blue jets at the bottom of them, and if you use heavy ammo, the stopping power of this can actually knock them around and prevent them moving. So if you prevent them doing what they're trying to do, it actually changes the experience with these things. So if in doubt, hit the jet, causing it to stagger, and then get the hell out of there. Let's take a look at the map. You can see that there's actually 2 floors, and when you're in game as well this works, you can press E to swap layer. So there's the lower layer and the upper layer. So I'm going to call this floor 2 and floor 1. Let's start at the bottom right where we have the seed vault, a high loot value location, but it is one that requires unlocking. There is a computer terminal that you can activate as well to open one of those loot bins, telling you which color to go to get the loot bin, blue, red, or yellow, and there's sort of graffiti on the walls to show you. To get the seed vault though, you're going to need a fuel cell. You can find these all around this area, but where I find most of them is to the left here in the seed vault air shaft where one of the extracts is. I found 2 cells in there. You only need 1, and on the right side as well, so they're never that far. Inside the seed vault, you're going to find a mass of ticks that are going to attack you, so be ready for that, and 3 sort of wings. The furthest wing actually has a lot of great server or textile loot, as well as obviously all the seed vaults. So everything you loot here should have like between 1 and 10 seeds at least, which could get you a lot of seeds for trading or just the raw value of selling them. It is a pretty fantastic place to loot, and there's a secret way to get out. In the second and third area that are thinner than the main seed vault, there's a door that's locked, and you can only unlock it from the side that's inside. Once you unlock it, it's open for both sides, but it is a way to get out rather than the main door if someone comes in. Heading out of there to the north, you have the Eastern Tunnel, which has warehouse loot that can have valuables in it, old world loot which you can consider kind of like commercial, alongside electrical, which is pretty handy. Following that tunnel along the north side brings you to the lobby metro, which is in a popular extract. The lobby metro has 2 sides to it, where you've got stairwells that lead up, but also zip lines. Heading west towards the collapsed tunnel and western tunnel, it's much like, say, we looked at the eastern tunnel, but without commercial, just electrical loot, which is still solid to be fair. Heading south from here, we have the loading bay and logistics admin. This is going to be an incredibly populated place for the first couple days because the second quest is here and it does leave you quite exposed when doing it. This is also where you're going to find some outside flying arc and a bastion spawn, as it is a place to lead to an extract. Again, another reason why it's so populated. All along the sides of these shipping containers are broken off sides that allow you to loot them, much like opening a drawer or something. So it's not bad loot either, but it is industrial focused loot. Finally, down on the lower level, we have the center area, which is robotics sandbox in area A and B. And in the middle above it is the control room. To get to the control room, you just need to find one of the different elevators, which are obviously just zipline shafts. There's two control rooms, the bigger one and the smaller one. These are fantastic loot locations though. The reason for that is all of the server stacks for tech loot, but in particular, batteries. For some reason, they spawn in massive quantities, like 10 to 15 batteries in a single loot container is kind of insane. But you're also going to get a massive amount of things like wires, processors, and batteries too. Down below is the locked storeroom, which requires a fuel cell to actually revive it. So in sandbox A, head southwest. On the wall here, you've got basically all of the cells. There's 3 of them here, and you're going to need 3 of them to unlock the storage room. Doing this solo is a bit of a chore then, because you've got to run back 3 times, bit exposed. But when you've got all 3 in, that will unlock the door. And inside you've got warehouse loot, technical loot, and a security breach to use as well. So that's the lower level. Going up a level then, we have a lot more to talk about. Let's start again at the bottom right with the cultural archives and the storage room. Which, by the way, in this specific location, there's a little secret exit that takes you down to the seed vault. The cultural archives is basically full of warehouse boxes, which are filled with old world loot, which you can basically imagine as commercial loot, so tons of valuables to sell for raw money, and will be a top spot to fill your bags with that kind of loot. Just be wary, there's lots of ticks in here. Not far from it then is the business lounge, the auditorium and the business center. Here you're going to find Exodus loot and commercial. Anywhere that you're in an Exodus area, you want to be looting toolboxes and workstations in general. This will lead to the random appearance of these purple, very valuable items. But on the southern side of the auditorium, there's a small room, a server stack room, which is absolutely filled to the brim with this textile loot, condensed into one place. You will just need to breach them. So again, mines, barricades, protect yourself. But it's a lot of condensed loot. Heading northwest then, we have the main lobby, which has some really interesting stuff going on in it. There's the lower level and the upper level obviously, but on the east side here is a special locked room, which has great valuable potential in it. As of right now, there is a bug you can do as long as you have one other player helping you. You can run into the door of this locked room, called the security checkpoint, and as long as you're sprinting into it and jump spamming and someone's running into you, pushing you into it, you'll sort of phase through the wall. So they probably will patch this very soon. Use it while you can. Inside anyway, it's just locked room loot, high value potential, and security breach use too. Either way, as one of the bigger areas, you will find a variety of arc here and longer angles than you might be used to on this map. Overall though, the location provides a lot of security and tech loot, so it's another fantastic place. And with the subway extract being right there, it's a great exit location. Here's a cool tip: if you throw yourself off the side, you can fall all the way down to the subway really quick. And since wasps fly there, you could technically maybe land on one and stop all fall damage. I totally did this intentionally. If we bring ourselves south from the lobby, we bring ourselves to the atrium, which has its very own cafeteria and communication location. The atrium itself is this wide open area with this cool monument in the middle. It provides commercial loot, so great potential raw value to sell. But I want to direct you to the cafeteria. Going in the back here, you can find a lot of that commercial loot in fast searchable locations. You know, drawers and shelves and that kind of thing. It has a special locked room inside of it, a storage unit, that requires one fuel cell to open up. We found all of the fuel cells in the atrium itself on the ground floor by the monument, literally right next to it, or by the broken steps next to the cafeteria. Bring this back into the kitchen, unlock the storage room, and inside you'll find multiple basket spawns, like you're doing a Lush Blooms run, and even Raider cache loot too. So it's like a really condensed Lush Blooms run, which is incredible money. Otherwise, we have the communication room, which is just a central spiraling staircase with these red locked doors that we haven't been able to kind of interact or engage with yet. Maybe it'll lead to something in the future. Either way, electrical and technological loot can be found in there. Bringing ourselves to the west then, we have the loading bay, or up towards the central corridor, which is kind of like a highway system between a lot of locations. Just be careful, you'll bump into players there a lot. But specifically between these two locations, Just above the cafeteria here, just to the right of cargo dock B, is this connecting hallway. And right here attached to that is a staff room. Inside of that staff room is wall-to-wall red lockers for incredible commercial loot and massive value if you get to loot the whole thing. Plus, there's a security breach in there. Just remember to have your shotgun out in case there's some bozo sat in there with a free loadout thinking he can get a free kill. Unbelievable loot spot though, so expect competition there. Next then, that brings us back to the loading bay and to the west, where we have the medical research. This is essentially just a fat location for medical and technological loot. As a red value loot location, everything you loot in here, whatever drawer or container you open, has massive potential and is easy to argue as the most condensed highest value loot location. So expect it to be maybe the most populated place on the map. Don't forget to loot all the dead robots and the medical containers especially. There's all kinds of new purple items that sell for great value or recycle into great parts. Finally, that brings us to the northwestern point of the map, assembly and assembly workshop in specific. While there's general technological loot, but also Exodus loot here, it's a bit spread out in assembly. So once again, because it's Exodus loot, make sure you're looting any fast loot containers, workstation drawers, that kind of thing. You might find an Exodus purple, but where it's most condensed is at the northern point, the assembly workshop. There are 2 rooms here, which both have a lower and upper level. The lower level leaves you very exposed though, because there are windows and doors that are permanently open. So again, jolt mines could literally save your life in a location like this. Here you've got tons of quick searchable containers and long breach breakable technology loot, which is well worth it. On the top floor of the left room, you could also find a weapon case. On the top floor of the right room, there's this white drawers that have 2 levels to them that shockingly I find great loot in, which we'll talk about for the final quest in a moment. Either way, one of the best runs you could have on this map is to spawn here at the assembly line, go into the assembly workshops, full loot it, and then use the assembly hatch that's right there for like 100 to 200k in value in like 3 minutes. It's unbelievable. Let's now quickly cover all of the quests on this map, of which there aren't many. First up, Lance is going to ask you to go find some robots and search them. While you can find them all over the map, you will find like a pile of them in the seed vault specifically, and also all over the medical research location. That's where you'll find the most of them, at least in my experience. For the second quest, you need to bring yourself to the loading bay. And in the center, there's this big gap. Bring yourself to the higher floor, and there's a zip line on the southern western point that takes you to the lower area on a specific shipping container. This is where you're going to loot the container and get like a diary or a book or whatever. Put that in your safe pocket, and that's going to be the quest done. For the last quest, you need to go do 2 specific things and find 2 specific items, the flow controller and the magnetron. For the first item, bring yourself to the lobby, and you're going to come into that security room on the east side, but from the ground level. Fun fact, you don't need to breach in here or open the door. You can actually just hop over the wall since there's a gap big enough on this side. Pretty cool. Anyway, the papers are literally just on the desk. You don't need to take them, you just interact with them. When that's done, you need to come to the robotics sandbox. In here is a rover that you need to go up to and take a picture of. Again, nothing to pick up. Once it's done, it's done. After that, you're going to need 2 items, the flow controller and the magnetron, both of which are really easy to find in the assembly workshops at the northern western point of the map. I literally went here 1 run, looted everything, found a flow controller, in fact multiple. On my second run, I found a magnetron. I told my friends to go try this, and they found their 2 quest items in the exact same location. So that's where I'd go for it. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to talk to you about in regards to Stella Montis. We'll be back with more specific advice and information as soon as we learn it and investigate the map more. But I hope that was useful. If you guys have anything else, other locations or good information about Stella Montis, let us know in the comments. But until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.